Here's a story that's taken off. Tavistock, which is the National Health Service, the NHS-run gender clinic, which has been offering sex change surgery to children, it's going to have to shut its doors after this is in the UK, after a damning report deemed that its services were unsafe. Well, hello? What have we been saying here for 2 or 3 years? Anyway, so unsafe that 1,000 families are expected to join together, 1,000, in pushing a medical negligence lawsuit. I hope there are people in Australia getting very, very nervous. Esther Kraku is a broadcaster, writer and panellist on the UK show The Talk, where she gives her sharp and insightful conservative commentary. She's vocal on social media about the cultural reinvention being pushed by the woke left, and she's quick to call out hypocrisy, whether it be on the left or the right of politics. Esther is one of those rare UK commentators who possesses common sense, and she joins me now. Esther, great to see you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, great to have you here on the show, Esther. Now, what did you make of the Tavistock story?
You know, I'm not a psychic. I would like to point this out, but a couple of years ago, I did say that the NHS in the next few years will be facing a wave of lawsuits because of the behaviour of clinics like Tavistock Clinic. Recently, Kemi Badenoch, who is a very prominent Conservative MP in this country.
Kemi, I'll stop you there.
I love her.
I'm a huge fan. I was just over in London recently, absolutely smitten with Kemi Badenoch. If you see her, say hello. Seriously, she's fantastic.
I will. Yeah, but she's fantastic. And, you know, she wrote a piece for The Telegraph that, you know, highlighted the problem with people feeling censored and people feeling like because of the power of this sort of gender ideology, they can't actually call out real risks to our children, like, you know, putting them on puberty blockers or, you know, affirming their gender when they're only 12 years old and a few years ago they wanted to be a frog, right? Yes. Recently the FDA has released a warning about puberty blockers, that it could actually cause a medical condition which effectively is swelling of the brain, right? We're giving these children life-altering treatment for something that most of them grow out of. And this is the problem with the kind of obsession with gender ideology and with the medicalization of what effectively is really something that is growing pains for most children. And it's extremely worrying, and I'm really happy. You know, obviously there are, I think, estimated 1,000 people that are going to be levelling lawsuits at the NHS trust responsible for this, for years of treatment that they said had also, you know, negative effects on their bodies. And it's to be expected, because if you are trusting your care of your children to the NHS, you don't expect them to be coming out worse and to have their lives destroyed by having these, you know, drugs shoved on them because of a baseless ideology. It's completely ridiculous.
And Esther, this whole thing blew up with the Keira Bell saga. So I'll just play the interview with Keira Bell. Just have a listen here.
I think that I should have been challenged on the proposals or the claims that I was making for myself, and I think that would have made a big difference as well. I feel angry that, you know, no one was there to really say any different, and I was allowed to run with this idea that I had, or, you know, almost like a fantasy as a teenager. I was allowed to run with that, and it has affected me in the long run as an adult.
So tell us about Keira Bell, Esther.
Yeah, so Keira Bell was someone who, you know, like many of the soon-to-be lawsuit plaintiffs, said that she felt like she was born in the wrong body, and she went to the Tavistock Clinic and was effectively ushered in very quickly into this sort of standard puberty blocker, mastectomy treatment. And she realised a few years later that actually, you know, this isn't, I was wrong. I've changed my mind. I don't think I was born in the wrong body, but she's effectively been given this life-altering treatment because the safeguards in place to protect people like her were just not there. And I think the biggest problem, and what I find and what the UK finds most shocking about the revelations about her case, is the fact that she didn't feel like there were any sort of dissenting opinions. There was nothing saying, actually, let's hold the brakes on this. Maybe we may be destroying this person's life. Let's wait a little bit longer. And that's the real tragedy. Because even if you had sort of a medical condition, a serious medical condition, most people want the opinion of two doctors, right? They want to have some sort of reassertion from another qualified specialist that what they're suffering from is actually what they're suffering from, and she didn't have that. And this is, again, this just shows how dangerous it is when people feel like they can't speak out because of the strength and of this gender ideology. And it's complete madness, right? We're seeing it infiltrate into various aspects of our lives. We're seeing it in academia. As someone who, you know, graduated from university just a few years ago, I can see how much things have changed, and it's extremely worrying. And these are the very real effects it has on people's lives.
And I think, Esther, there's real parallels here with the whole Rotherham thing, isn't there? You've got people not speaking out because of woke ideology. So people wouldn't speak out when girls were being abused because they didn't want to be accused of racism. And now when these children have been abused at Tavistock, people don't speak out because they don't want to be accused of transphobia. It's all the woke culture. Have a look at this, Esther. This is a documentary about a trans kid. You know, it's one of those ones, oh, isn't it wonderful, this trans kid is being themselves, is what the documentary is about. But watch closely while this kid, I would call it child abuse, but anyway, watch closely the mum's lips moving while the trans kid is speaking. The kid has clearly been coached in every word about how to be herself. It's insane. Have a look.
Yeah.
To Kieran, who's transgender, it's not about racking up victories.
I don't want to win any trophies for it, though. I feel like that's the most unfair way to compete because it's not about winning.
What's it about?
Having fun with your friends for it, though. I feel like that's the most unfair way to compete because it's not about winning.
I mean, this is extraordinary. Parents coaching their kids to change gender.
I mean, it's child abuse, isn't it? These parents are ideologically possessed, and they so badly want a trans child that they feel the need to effectively force this transition on them. And you know, I don't want to make light of genuine sort of conditions like gender dysphoria, but the reality is this is being overblown. This is now a fad. When I was a child growing up in Ghana, I wanted to be a frog because I was told that if you were touched by a frog, it would turn you into anything you wanted to be. Now, God forbid, if I was, you know, growing up as a tomboy these days, you know, my parents are at very real risk of being told that they have to transition me, or if not, it's a child abuse. Look at what's going on in Canada. I mean, this is quite literally the definition of utter madness, and it's parental neglect to actually stand by and watch your child, you know, be manipulated in this way. And it's even worse when it's coming from the parents. I mean, really, you should be your child's champion. You should be their first protector, and they're forcing this dangerous ideology on them for what? Just to stand out and to be special? It's completely ridiculous.
It is, as you said, child abuse.